Welcome. It's a privilege to host this event dedicated to the latest tech innovations in healthcare, pharma, and life sciences. As several 2023 reports have highlighted, we are experiencing an amazing era with numerous deep tech innovations that are truly transforming the global landscape, with healthcare, pharma, and life sciences finally getting the attention that we always wanted. Today, I'm privileged to have amazing speakers that are not only experienced in deploying technologies in their fields, but also are well-known international experts in their fields, have written about it, have won multiple competitions. So I'm sure you're going to hear about their latest experiences in launching these products, as well as their projections for future trends for 2024. Please allow me to share just brief bio highlights. First, our guest, Heather Leigh Flannery. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
She's the founder and chief executive officer of Equideum Health, focusing at the intersection of federated AI, advanced privacy technology, and blockchain, as well as Web3. Heather is a member of the board of directors of the Equideum Foundation, vice chair of the IEEE SA Open, the standards development working group that is dedicated to blockchain and AI convergence in healthcare and life sciences. She served as a fiscal year 19 and fiscal year 20 co-chair and fiscal year 21 chair of the Global HIMSS Blockchain in Healthcare Task Force. She also chairs the Healthcare Interest Group at the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance and has numerous other leadership roles in this industry. Additionally, she's an active consultant, advisor, global keynote speaker, and has driven business model innovation via technology throughout a 20-year career as an entrepreneur, technologist, and strategist. Welcome again.
Thank you so much.
We're also privileged to have Daniel Uribe, with over 6 years of experience as co-founder and CEO of Genobank.io. He's passionate about leveraging blockchain and genomics to enable users to establish ownership and control of their genomic datasets using bio-NFTs. He has a strong background in data science, artificial intelligence, and bioinformatics, as well as certifications in Ethereum Solidity app, EQTL functional genetics, and RNA sequencing workshop. He also holds an MBA from the business school IPADE and a certificate in data, law, policy, and regulation from the London School of Economics and Political Sciences. He believes that bio-NFTs are the future of personal genomics and data sovereignty and is excited to be at the forefront of this innovative and disruptive field. Welcome, Daniel. We're also privileged to have Janik Jaskolski as speaker today. He will share his valuable insights about his latest deep tech innovations at his company and future trends in the industry. Janik is the co-founder, chief product officer, and managing director of Semalytix, a market-leading patient experience data solutions company for life sciences. They provide the largest archive of online real-world patient experience data worldwide. He's an experienced entrepreneur with a background in cognitive computer science and intelligent systems design, particularly passionate about the application of AI in modern drug development and what it can provide for patients. As an alumni of Bielefeld University with degrees in cognitive computer sciences and intelligent systems, he started coding at the age of 15, became fascinated with machine learning at 17, and dedicated himself to making it accessible to everyone, leveraging it for society at 21. Welcome, Janik.
Thanks for having me.
And then last but not least, Yamina Hakem. She is a globally recognized executive with over 3 decades of experience in international business development and information technology in the pharmaceutical and life sciences industry. As the founder and CEO of GlobalReach BI, a consulting company dedicated to strategic intelligence, she has harnessed AI technology to provide client partners with strategic data-driven insights. This innovation has propelled GlobalReach BI to the forefront of the pharmaceutical life sciences industries. Prior to founding GlobalReach BI, Yamina had an illustrious career at Thomson Reuters, where she held several key leadership positions. She is a member of the board of directors at Pharma and Le Conseiller du Commerce Extérieur de la France, where she provides expert guidance on international trade and economic development, making significant contributions to the advancement of pharma and life sciences. She will also share her key insights about the latest launch of her Spring platform. Thank you to all of you, and I'm sure our audience will be excited to hear your input and your insights about the latest deep tech innovations in the industry. Let's start with Heather, then Danielle, then Janik, and then Yamina.
Okay.
Heather.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. And hello, it's such an honor to be joined by such esteemed co-panelists. Thank you for including me in this conversation. I think one of the most profound transitions that has occurred within the 2023 calendar year is the realization among all governments in the world and most people in the world that we have crossed an inflection point with the use of artificial intelligences. And while many parties have been anticipating such transitions and theorizing about when precisely they might occur, what had not happened prior to this year is something that all humans could easily recognize as engagement with an artificial intelligence that passed what was originally thought of as the Turing test, where it was no longer obvious and straightforward to tell whether you were interacting with an artificial intelligence or a natural intelligence. And while those implications were long forecasted, they hit our society very hard and very quickly. So it's been remarkable as a person who has been focused on applying blockchain and Web3 as the governance and guardrails and control mechanics for a future of AI that humanity could trust for more than 5 years. It's been incredible to witness governments and corporations and every sector of our society working together to determine now how to make this incredible potential for humanity actually trustworthy. And then as recently as this past week, focusing in on the United States market, the Biden administration issued a groundbreaking executive order, Trusted AI. And then our Office of Management and Budget in the US federal government issued further very, very clear directives on the implementation of the executive order only 3 or 4 business days ago. And the concreteness and the breadth of the scope is remarkable to see. And this is followed by, back in March of 2023, in the United States, the National Strategy to Advance Privacy-Preserving Data Sharing and Analytics. This was published by an organization in the White House, very consistent with the overall aims. So as we look together, I'm sure in this conversation about themes from the executive order, such as protecting Americans' privacy and standing up for consumers and patients, we're at an incredible inflection point together.
Absolutely. Thank you. And what great timing that we just had the executive order last week. So now companies that function in multiple markets have the European Union Act and the US regulatory framework to deal with. And I think the plans for 2024 will be definitely marked by those 2 big frameworks. Danielle?
Thank you very much. I obviously am very also happy and very honored to be here with you in this panel. So thank you very much, Dr. Ingrid, and my esteemed colleagues as well. So as a segue, obviously the framework that is now, we envision like this as a global framework, right? So it's basically what Heather, or taking what Heather was telling, what we see is now like Web3 as the ideal kind of legal tech stack for differentiating which data can be used or cannot be used for training an AI or different use cases, right? So what I think what the trend that we are seeing is how can we use the smart contracts as service level agreements for specific data, right? So this is, I think it's a trend that needs to be having more importance every single day, because again, now the question is how we're going to use the AI is already answered, I think. Like that's the threshold we passed according to Heather, and I do agree. Now the question is, what data can we use, right? And specifically in terms of the healthcare space, is if the patient, or as we call in the genomics space, the data owner of, let's say, a DNA or RNA data set, are they really consenting for AI processing? So I think this is the main focus for us, at least, is how can we separate the public data sets from the private data sets, and then try to integrate the patient in this equation, right? It's going to be very challenging, but I think now the good news is that we have the tools. And this, again, in the frameworks of what's going on, just want to mention that the FDA also gave us good news, because now they have what they call a clinical decision support software, which they are admitting is not a medical device, which is really good in terms of the license or the regulations that you require. This is an exemption. So now I think we can build a lot of clinical decision support software that is like preclinical, that will help a lot in the next stages. But the main thing for us would be to legalize the data. Is again, this is for me like the most important thing we should focus on 2024. That's what I have.
And I would add, maybe because you mentioned data processing by AI, it's also data sharing, right? Because that's the next layer. So very important. Great. And then Janik, you are also very much in this space. So why don't you share your latest trends that you're observing, and then how they've impacted your decisions for your company?
Thank you so much, Ingrid, for having me, and also for everyone else to take part in the conversation. Yeah, I mean, AI isn't actually that new in healthcare to begin with, but as Daniel Heather as Heather said, it's new that it's that much on everyone's focus, and this coincides really nicely, because while this hasn't been the most recent development, and it kind of sometimes feels like it fell a little bit off the bandwagon, the EU is quite heavily working on solving a different problem first, and that is having a data consensus across borders, which always has to be the homework for any data-driven application, AI specifically. If you don't have a clean data picture, then there's very little you can do. So it's really exciting to me to see this field being pushed from so many different directions, that legislators are working on developing the right foundation, the right compliance, and they're starting to ask the right questions. Regulators are and authorities are pushing it in a similar way. We watched for the past couple of years the patient-focused drug development guidelines, which to us as Semalytix is just naturally very interesting reading material, developed to the point where really, as an authority, even the FDA is actively recommending using these tools in a host of different application cases, which we haven't seen for decades, even though this technology wasn't that new. So experiencing this right now, how this turns from really almost like a fledgling industry or a fledgling field into something that's maturing, is just so exciting. And these advances, they're not just happening in drug development, but also on the patient care side of things, which for us, since we are still focused on patient-centric drug development, is again very, very exciting to be a part of, starting with telemedicine, remote monitoring, digital therapeutics. There are so many fields, decentralized clinical trials, where really win-win situations are being created for patients, for drug developers, and for every other stakeholder. And this being pushed in a seemingly similar speed across the different dimensions that need to work together to bring AI really into a mature space or state in life sciences. That's wonderful to see.
Thank you. Great 360 view. Yamina, what do you see? You're working with a lot of the pharma companies, big and medium. What are you observing? We know pharma usually is the trendsetter, so share with us.
Yes, and thank you, Ingrid, for having me in the group of discussion today. And yes, I would like to give my point of view from the pharma industry, an industry where I've been working for the last 25 years. Really, what I was very impressed in 2023 is the fact that we had the first drug that was totally AI designed enter in phase 2 clinical trials, where basically patients are given this drug that has been developed totally by AI and by in silico medicine. So I think it's a real achievement. And not only that it's available to patients, it's fully AI developed from early discovery to clinical trial implementation. But also what was very positive is the fact that the FDA granted it fast track designation. So I would say that 2023, it's been a big year. Going to be some more activities around AI. And what I think is going to happen, we're going to see a lot more collaboration. We need to make the most of our capabilities. Like, okay, the pharma industry knows extremely well how to develop a drug. Tech industry have got all the data scientists. And if we bring those two competencies together, it is going to be amazing. So I do believe that we are crossroad that is going to be amazing, but also what is going to be different and what we have seen in 2023 is very much that paradigm shift that is happening a lot quicker than ever before. So you have to be ready to change, and you have to be ready to change fast. That's my conclusion of it.
Thank you so much. So for the second round, I would like each one of you to share some of the latest deployments you've been engaged in. I know all of you have amazing, innovative solutions, and share with our audience some of the challenges and how you overcame them, because that's what our audience usually loves to hear about, not just the successes, but also how have you been able to overcome it. And we know that there are lots of barriers when you deploy technologies in healthcare, pharma, and life sciences. So Heather?
Thank you, Ingrid. And Yamina, I love what you had to say about the need for collaboration and accommodating and accelerating rate of change. Something that I have thought about for many years is this divide between the rate of change in human institutions and bureaucracies, which is effectively static for all intents and purposes, and the exponentially accelerating rate of change in emerging technologies, especially when you consider that those technologies are themselves converging. So it is, you highlight a very important change in the mindset of natural intelligences, we human beings, where we must embrace approaches that will allow our systems of governance, of control, of oversight, of bioethical risk management to evolve somewhere close to the pace of the technologies that are affecting humanity. I have been facing any number of barriers and challenges over 2023. It's certainly an honor to be able to discuss some of them. We have been focused on implementing multi-party networks that can facilitate care coordination across organizational boundaries, for research and clinical medicine without exposing or centralizing the data estates of the participating enterprises. This is a vital element for achieving ecosystem level trusted and verifiable insights, and especially for the potentials of collaborative machine learning in a new and trusted modality, as well as the what we purport to be a more compliant and ethical use of trained AI models among those stakeholders. So we have a multi-party network solution called Data Integrity and Learning Networks, and that is a key technology that enables that to function is a next generation solution for consent called Fireblocks. Fireblocks is FHIR, Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources. It is an important mechanic that extends the spirit and intent of the anti-information blocking provisions in the U.S. law, the 21st Century Cures Act. That act mandates that an entity covered by our primary healthcare privacy law, HIPAA, is required to expose a gateway for API access using this standard FHIR. And our consent solution is intended to extend those FHIR servers that are required by regulations to be exposed by all HIPAA-covered entities in the United States. Now, this sounds like such a terrific idea, doesn't it, right? So what could possibly go wrong? Why isn't this being used everywhere right now in the United States? I'll be happy to unpack some of the reasons. One challenge that we've had is that while Equideum Health and our partners and stakeholders believe that the secondary use of health information that is a common practice for training to be commercialized AI models is a decreasingly legal and questionably moral practice. And while the individual transactions involved with brokering all kinds of some usually de-identified health information are technically discreetly legal today, we believe those transactions, when combined, produce an effect that harms the dignity, agency, and privacy of the human beings whose information is being custodied by trusted actors in the healthcare ecosystem. Well, those actors in the healthcare ecosystem don't necessarily believe that their secondary uses of health information is incorrect, and they believe that it is in fact compliant. And it may well be in this moment. So a major challenge is creating a new mindset around what do we think of as the actual nature of personal data. Our perspective is that it is now inseparable from personhood and should be treated as such, and that other bodies of law beyond property law should be applied, such as labor law. But this all represents legal, social, economic, and cultural change that is challenging to undertake. At a practical level, this enables an enterprise custodian of health or personal data to be able to have fully identified and granular control granted to the data subject. Those consents, instead of being PDF paperwork, become micropolicies implemented at the data layer, verifiable, auditable, enforceable, and those granular consents become dynamic and modifiable. These are all vital factors in the EU AI Act, the GDPR prior to that, and now with the US AI executive order. I think it's abundantly clear that the time is now to do this. Hopefully, what will happen in the coming year is that there will be more of a consensus position among healthcare and healthcare ecosystem actors about what an appropriate secondary uses of health information really entail.
Thank you. I really appreciate the comprehensive answer, and I know a lot of our audience was wondering how to tackle some of these challenges, so thank you for sharing them. Danielle, you are also just at the tail end of a few months of intense launching experience. So maybe also share with our audience, you're in another area that's highly ultra sensitive. So how have you overcome not only the regulatory, but any other challenges?
Thank you very much, Dr. Ingrid. So just very briefly, so this is basically what we do as a business. So we want to help people to first obviously claim ownership using an NFT. Basically, we create a digital twin of every human biosample. And then we create a governance structure around it, right? As Heather was saying, is like using the same analog is like micro policies, but now they are embedded into a blockchain smart contract. With one of the main ideas is, if we cease to exist as a company, our main objective is that the ownership and all these micro agreements or service level agreements or policies, permissions, consents, I mean, there's a broad use case, will still persist in the public blockchain. So this is very important for us, is that even without our existence, the protocol will maintain, and that's what we call decentralized biosample governance, right? So this is our core business. Now, the main challenge today is how we not only keep secure and decentralized in terms of the governance these biosample derived data sets like DNA, RNA, microbiome, and so on and so forth. And then is how we can give utility, right? How can we also give in a secure environment the space for the patient to leverage these emerging generative AI, like for instance, ChatGPT, right? Or Time GPT, or now there's Gene GPT, et cetera, et cetera. And this will just come every day. So the main idea is how can we use confidential compute methods, as Heather also was mentioning, like federated learning and all these techniques, to enable people to interact, to have conversations with their own data. That's now our main mission. So just simply this morning, we just launched the first AI-driven kit, so for students, right? So we think this is a fantastic tool. So we can use this to give a student, right? So they can sequence or genotype their own data and then use it as the main material to learn bioinformatics or learn genomics, or just to explore what's in the DNA, guided by an AI, right? So I think we wouldn't be able to offer this without the innovation or the popularity of AIs. So that's what we do. Now, the main challenge lies very graphically here, right? Because this is a card where 12 words needs to be written, and it's a Web3 passkey or passphrase. So the main challenge is, if you want privacy, if you want data ownership, you need to learn how to use a wallet, right? A Web3 wallet. So we know the world is not like 0 or 1, like very, So now we are kind of being into a hybrid system where you can still use your legacy credentials, the email and password, but at the same time, using your own biosample, you create a wallet. So you can, we are transitioning from the custodial world to a non-custodial world. I give an example like the Coinbase and the wallet of Coinbase, right? There are two separate products. Coinbase, it's a custodial wallet, so they will keep your private key for your safe. It's recoverable, but it's the least secure, the least independent, right? And then you have the wallet of Coinbase that will give you your passphrase and you're on your own, right? And there are pros and cons, but this is the main challenge for us, is like, how can we help more people in the healthcare and genomic space to leverage the public key infrastructure, the new Web3 infrastructure, in order to make it more secure and more decentralized. So we are there, but I think it's going to take a little bit more of time. That's the main challenge.
Thank you. Janik, you're also, I see the emerging theme today is data quality, data sharing, data privacy. So you're in the space that you're only dealing with data. So please go ahead.
Exactly. So I'm a computer scientist, so I love talking about developing software. And I want to share some lessons learned on how to do that well with Pharma. But actually, I'm going to build a little bit on something that you said, Yamina. It is always crucial to figure out fast, are you developing a drug product that actually solves a real world need? So what if you could actually predict that? What if you could actually predict the validity or the appropriateness of clinical endpoints up front? That's one of the use cases that we set ourselves. And what we do as a company is basically patient understanding based on unstructured patient experience data. So we pull data from social sources, from closed communities, really anything in 26 different languages around the world to capture what we like to refer to as kind of the global experience of how people are living day by day with different disease areas. And what we launched this year is Patient GPT. So this is actually a large language model. It's not a new foundational model, but it's tuned with 50 million patient experience data points that we already had analyzed using a supervised AI framework that we have built for the past 8 years, so that even if it's completely unstructured, we can actually produce variables that are already known, that are already in use to describe the population, to slice and dice that in every which way, to detect disease burdens, measure the impact that these have on quality of life, and factor in how treatment benefits or drawbacks actually impact that. So do they actually have a benefit long-term for patients according to patients or not? And I think what is particularly what Gen AI is doing, part of that is not even focused on what it produces. It is quite exciting to think about that suddenly we bridge the gap from you have unstructured raw data, you can understand this better, describe this better, and you can even generate assets directly basically in one process. That's never been possible before in such scale for such a variety of use cases. So that in itself is incredibly exciting. But to me, what's even more profound is the ease of interaction. And this has been brought up before. This is really, to me, the groundbreaking innovation here, that suddenly people that have never worked with AI can get themselves to a point within a day that they wield such incredible technology with such ease, with such speed. And I think this will continue to have a profound impact on any company, on any institution really, that is sitting already on valuable data. And now they have an opportunity to really increase their user base to people that would have never historically or traditionally been users or viable users for any AI tool. So use cases that we cover are, for example, as I said, clinical endpoint validation, or creating observational patient experience studies, all the way to AI, and this is kind of still future work, but AI-assisted creation of entire patient journeys, but then based on 3 million experience statements. So starting to become statistically relevant to the population that is actually experiencing going through a disease journey. And how did we develop this, and how did we launch it so well? So even though Gen AI is incredibly exciting, it's also still in its infancy, and there is no shortage of new innovation projects that are trying to use Gen AI in some interesting way, only to be abolished a day later, basically. Whenever, and this happens whenever a new technology hits a field, there's a flurry of new activity, and few people ever start with the real user or customer experience. But that's regardless of technology. You should always do that, exactly. Otherwise, you're building something because it's neat technology, and then you've tried to figure out how to sell this and how to make people use that later on. which is almost kind of an anti pattern. So the way we did this is we always try to work with well-informed champions. So people that are deeply embedded in the industry, but are somewhat adjacent in their personality to the field where they're working. For example, creative thinkers that are deeply embedded in the clinical trial execution. Usually people you meet there are very, very focused on process, very unlikely to say yes to innovation. But if you find someone in such a space that is a creative thinker, that is willing to go beyond, that's a great person to talk to. And with such champions, it's important to keep in mind, especially in pharmaceuticals, I think, you're dealing with such a complex value chain. You need to keep in mind that you're not selling to your users. The people that buy your applications are not the ones that will use its value. And the ones that use its value are also not the ones that will connect this value and how they used it to a top or bottom line difference, to a risk reduction on R&D or an increase in market share in an existing drug product. So you have to, anyone who builds software solutions in such a complex space, unless it's a very, very, very specific thing and you're making something better or faster that's already existing, then you need to figure out and find people that are willing to help you with this. Figure out how does this value chain actually look like, and a good strong champion is always a good place to start with that. This also then, to your question, Ingrid, this makes for good launches. If you figure it out well, what are the building blocks I need for a successful launch? You probably also figured out what is my value chain and what is the one solution that delivers my value in these 4 different ways, from user to buyer to creator of value to transfer of value. That's really the lock and key to success in my mind for really new software applications in such complex industries.
Thank you so much. Great. I'm sure that a lot of companies that are in this space will value your expertise and your experience in launching this. And I know you're very successful. The whole launch of generative AI could have not come at a better time for you. So that's
it really couldn't have, yes. Thank you.
And Yamina, you also just launched over the last few months a product. And for the audience members that might be wondering, well, what could you possibly do to help pharma companies who already do so many things and have all the data in the world? How can you do anything to augment or optimize what they're doing? So I would like you to share with our audience what your product is contributing to the space.
Okay. There's one common thread in this discussion is the importance of data and the quality of data that we are going to be using for our AI applications. And it's even more important within the pharma industry, because as you were just saying, it's a complex decision-making process. And it's a complex decision-making process that is going to have impact on so many different elements. So it's within the pharma industry, the C-suite, the executive team need to take decisions on, shall we go and invest on this new project? How are we going to launch it? Are we going to put a lot of investment? And the impact is tremendous on any company. So you need to have really good, accurate, unbiased data. And there are different sources, there are different elements. But this is what we do at GlobalReach as a CI firm. We are supporting the pharma industry with providing them with high value added analyzed intelligence. So what we do is that we're going to be implementing different methodologies, different tools to understand what is happening on a day-to-day on a certain disease. What are the clinical trials? Does this asset have side effects? What are the results of those clinical trials? And we will go and attend those conferences and really bring back an in-depth analysis of the clinical and commercial data for the big pharma. The big thing is that over the years, this data that we bring to the clinical team, commercial team, launch team, getting bigger. So with the feedback of some of the top 5 pharma companies, 4 years ago, we decided to implement Spring. Spring is very unique in its function because it stands for searchable primary intelligence, and there's no such element and platform out there doing that. And what it does is that it's totally customized by subject and providing the latest intelligence for their teams. Again, it's all analyzed. It's all then integrated and implemented within a secure environment. Obviously, security is very important, and it's made searchable. The big thing that we did this year, so initially, I mean, you can still do that. You can do a search on a drug, any drug you are working on, and you're going to retrieve all the feedback from the doctors, what the market is thinking, and all that. Now, we made it even more interactive by integrating OpenAI API. So we looked at, okay, what ChatGPT can do in an unstructured environment, and we took it and we put it into a very structured environment, which means that now the users can interact with the data a lot quicker. So you can do a search, and instead of just retrieving different records on a subject, it's going to build a report for you. It's going to automatically do it, but with your own analyzed data. So it's not going to go on Google and get the information. It's going to stay within those parameters that we have built for our clients, and then they can understand what are the current scientific insights, and obviously how that is going to be impacting their company and their strategy. And it's really built with the aim of defining, enhancing the capabilities of those users that we have within our big pharma and small pharma. It's even more important within small pharma. As we know, I mean, small companies, they've got 1 or 2 projects, and if they fail, that's it, might be the end of a company. So it's even more important for them that we bring this latest technology, specific intelligence, and bring them together to make it more pertinent for their decision-making process. So GlobalReach BI is here to this data. Spring is here to make it digestible for the end users.
Thank you so much.
Big learning thing that, but it's you need to actually, I mean, to build it is a constant process, as you can imagine. It's not an overnight process.
Thank you so much to all of you for sharing your experiences during launch. And for the last round, I was hoping without AI, so it's taboo to say the word AI. What projections do you have for 2024 in terms of deep tech that could influence not only the landscape, but also your company? And how would you embed it into your current product if you think that that's a trend that will be dominant? So let's start same way. Heather, Danielle, Janik, and then Yamina.
Thank you, Ingrid. I really like this challenge. Thou shalt not say AI.
Yeah,
I
because
will take up this challenge. So I'd like to break my thoughts about 2024 into 4 categories. What is going to occur in the community of payers and providers in the public and private sector? What's going to happen with the individual? What's going to happen with the parties seeking to procure data and AI services and assets, pharma, med device, all public sector research sponsors? And of course, what about all of the other consumer-facing businesses that custody personal data that might be highly impactful for social determinants of health, retail, consumer goods, etc.? So the key is that all 4 of these stakeholder categories are going to be increasingly viewed as data ecosystems that have various characteristics and qualities that can lead to value or risk for the constituents and stakeholders that they seek to serve. So first, on the public and private sector payer and provider side, I predict there will be an increasing realization that the value of their own enterprise data estates is not going to lead them to the kinds of insights and innovations that they are seeking to drive. And instead, it will require collaborative computing with advanced privacy technologies across other actors in the ecosystem. Key advanced privacy technologies include, of course, blockchain as a base layer, but advanced privacy enhancing technologies lead to extraordinary optionality in achieving compliant workflows. This includes things like trusted execution environments in the cloud and at the edge, zero-knowledge cryptography, and other kinds of verification and attestation objects that can enable trust to be distributed among the ecosystem without centralizing and exposing data. On the individual side, what I believe is going to happen is by the time we are at this point next year, many more people in the general population around the world will understand that the personal and health information about them that is scattered and fragmented throughout every part of our digital economy is in fact of extreme value to them, not necessarily strictly financial value, but value to achieve their health and their prosperity and to care for their family and their children and their elders. This importance is going to lead to an increased demand for agency, dignity, and empowerment with respect to the information about them custodied everywhere throughout our modern economy. From the data and AI purchaser perspective, so this is pharma, device, in public sector research sponsors all over the world. These organizations are increasingly, as Yamina and others have mentioned on this remarkable panel, by the way, thanks everyone, is that in silico research is going to explode in its potential. And what that means is that this idea of every enterprise being able to create its own digital twins about others is a silly proposition. The only party who can create a digital twin of massively predictive power is the data subject themselves, empowered to aggregate, curate, monetize more information about themselves than any individual ever could. The potential of self-sovereign digital twins will be the breakthrough revolution that will allow in silico research to explode from its already white-hot status. And then finally, for the consumer-facing businesses that are buying market research data in volume and continuously trying to better understand customers and better engage their constituents, these organizations will now have the opportunity to choose to contribute to these kinds of in silico research endeavors that will improve the prosperity of their communities and aid in the economic and medical and social advancements of their valued customers and stakeholders. So all of those things are going to come together and start to be seen as data ecosystems, and it's going to be one heck of a 2024.
I agree. Actually, you'll see soon a publication from the conference proceedings where I agreed with you, that was a few months ago, that digital twins and self-sovereign digital twins are likely to be a solution. That's great. Dania?
Thank you. So it was a great description and vision from Heather. I think I agree 100% with all. I'll just emphasize in the part that she was sharing with the panel and the audience about the consciousness of the individual about the importance of their data. So we've been saying this since, I don't know, forever, like 2017. And especially based on my experience, I am a father of a kid that has a rare disease. So we have a rare disease in the family. So for us, it's evident. But besides that community, I think the same importance as we acquire because of necessity, right? It's going to be more and more normalized into the consumer, right? Now people is really asking, like, what are companies or consortiums or what are they going to do with my data, right? And this is our core value. So that's still going to happen. I think it's going to be more and more important. And that's why, again, we are focusing on the personal agents, right? So we talk about like a lot of these artificial intelligence tools, but now we're focusing on how can we empower the individual, right? So now they can be able to harness the data, and now how can we give access or democratize the access to an API to a very powerful generative artificial intelligence, so they can have.
You're not allowed to say.
Sorry. But the main thing is or to insights, right? Or even to collaborate, right? As Heather was saying, in this ecosystem, how can we really plug the patient in these ecosystems to give them dignity and policy over the data? The picture that I'm seeing comes again from Apple, right? Apple just announced the M3 new computer, but in one of the images, you have a DNA sequencer from Oxford Nanopore. So for me, that's 2024 right there, because I've used that same instrument to sequence fragments of my own DNA, I mean, with awful results. But I had no idea before, right? How to extract DNA, how to plug it into my own computer and then try to analyze it. But now, again, the computer is now powerful enough to analyze these data sets. So everything that Heather said, like, hey, the individual now has the tools to have a very powerful voice. And that's, I want to see that more and more in 2024 as well. So cheers to that.
Also, with the launch of Amazon platform, the Amazonomics, and also NVIDIA launching Clara Parabricks, you're going to have much more data and people being much more accustomed to sharing these type of data sets. So I think indirectly, it's going to also increase the interest for your type of niche market. So that's great. Janik, projections for 2024?
Yeah, the question you asked is which trends will prevail, and I think the questions would be easier if we were asked which ones won't continue. There's so many interesting aspects, and Daniel, actually, I want to say I really love your product, because I think that individual data literacy and data control are one of the huge societal challenges and what's really wrong with healthcare worldwide. So I really like what you're building. How are you doing this? And Heather, same thing. The informed, the empowered patient, or in this case, data subject. That's if you combine these things, that's probably the most impactful change on the horizon. I couldn't agree more. But I also I am a bit pragmatic here and a bit practical, perhaps. I'm not sure if this will be. It will happen this fast. The FDA still argues that you need, or already argues that you need a clearly defined data collection, analysis, and management approach if you want to develop certain instruments that use data to to detect or predict, detect symptoms, diseases, predict pathway, suitable treatment pathways, and so forth. But they frequently also fall short of explaining specifically how this should be done. And so what's the next step? Then it is on someone who actually provides services or instruments like this to figure out something new, but also at the same time converse with pharmaceutical companies and explain how could this actually be brought into the market. A pharma company will say, well, if the authority doesn't tell us in which way it will be used, then we're not really, we are uncertain how it will be used and should be used. So frequently it feels like we run into a stalemate. So my hope is that the fact that we're pushing this on so many different levels now, on data literacy, on individuals that own and can actually feel and have impact through their own data, and at the same time such amazing advancements in technology, not using the A word. My hope is that while doing this at the same time just leads us to create almost like something like a nexus event, a breakthrough event. Now we have this access of data. Patients actually know, because right now most people that I can talk to, if I would ask them, would you share your data? The answer is always yes. How? How can I actually collect my data? How can I put this into something? And how can I actually give this to anyone who asks? And then the next question is, should this be monetized in some way? Should patients have other benefits from that if they offer their data willingly, so that there rarely should ever be or is a free lunch? But my hope is that this is actually this happens before more such applications are developed, because if that actually happens, if we can if we are able to advance it to this level of clarity, once that's solved, I think patients will see a huge value development, early detection, better monitoring, empathetic therapies. And this is my hope for the year. It's not a clear tech prediction, but as I said, I like to look at problems, and this in my mind is one of the biggest ones to solve. How can we get to a point where on a global or a societal scale, we have cleaned up these issues, this homework, and then innovation can really run free to the benefit of patients.
Thank you. Great. Yamina?
On this one, I'm going to be brief, and I'm going to stress 3 key elements. The first one is patient centricity. What I really believe is that, and what Daniel was saying is that we're going to be putting even more patient data at the core of our developments. And I'm amazed. I didn't know about this Apple M3 and this DNA sequencing integrated. And I just find it like utterly amazing. So it just shows that patient centricity is going to be key next year. Then the second element is the fact that the technology is going to move fast, even faster. Again, GPT-5 is apparently going to be ready by the end of the year. Let's see how it goes, but we have to embrace the change, and it's going to be happening really, really fast.